Suppose that Jane, here, were to claim that the only way to keep employees in an office job from resigning after a year were to celebrate their birthdays with cake. Suppose you wanted to test Jane's claim. Where should you look to find out? Offices that do have cake whenever somebody has a birthday, or those that don't? Let's explore falsification to find out, and also understand why this question is important in the first place. In our last video in this series on falsifiability, we learned that a claim can only be true if it could, in theory, be proven false. Go and check that out. If you haven't seen it already, then come back to this one. But knowing whether a claim could be true is only half the story. We also need to know whether it is true. Even a falsifiable claim can be false, after all. That's what it means to be falsifiable in the first place. So how do we find out? One thing that you might think to do is look for evidence that's consistent with the claim. So in our example about birthday cake, we could look at all the offices that celebrate people's birthday with cake. We might see that many people who work in them have been there for longer than a year. That would be evidence consistent with the claim being true. But that actually doesn't tell you very much. That's because the people who've worked there longer than a year might have worked there that long, even if they weren't given birthday cake. Facts that are consistent with a claim being true, in other words, are neutral. They don't tell you anything more about whether the claim is true if you know them than if you don't. The fact that lots of people who work in offices with birthday cake have worked there for over a year doesn't tell us anything more about whether you have to have birthday cake to keep employees from resigning after a year than the fact that the sky is blue. As we learned in our video on deconstructing argument, an argument is only valid if the premises being true mean that the conclusion can't be false. If all the evidence is equally consistent with the claim being true or false, then you can't soundly conclude that the claim is true. You don't have any premises that you know are true that mean that the claim can't be false. But suppose you were to look at an office somewhere that didn't have birthday cake and find at least one person who had worked there longer than a year. That would be evidence inconsistent with the claim being true. You would have successfully falsified the claim. You could be very confident that it's false. And by falsifying the claim, you have proven its opposite, that at least some people will work in an office job for longer than a year without being given birthday cake. Only looking for evidence consistent with a claim and not looking for inconsistent evidence is called confirmation bias, and it often causes people to reach wrong conclusions. To be confident about something, you need more than evidence that's consistent with it being true. You need evidence that's inconsistent with it being false. So you can learn far more from inconsistent evidence than you can from consistent evidence. And the old expression, you can't prove a negative, has it exactly backwards. A negative is in fact the only thing you can prove. But suppose that Jane's birthday cake claim were true. Could that ever be proven? To find out, watch out for our next video in this series on proving with probability. In the meantime, if you liked this video, click the like button, leave us a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one.